Hello, welcome. Thanks for joining us on this edition of News 2. I'm Sandra Gumansing. Topping our newscast, both the governor and the lieutenant governor are back in the territory, and that means the executive order on same-sex marriage can finally be signed. News 2's Erica Parsons has more on that story.
Same-sex couples in the VI have been eagerly waiting for the executive order to be signed, granting marriage equality rights for same-sex couples. Now that the chief executive and the lieutenant governor are back in the territory at the same time, that can finally happen. Governor Kenneth Mapp signed the executive order on July 9th, 2 weeks after the Supreme Court ruled in favor of same-sex marriage as a constitutional right. The order requires the lieutenant governor's signature to be binding, but in the last month, the two top executives have not been in the territory at the same time. Senate President Neville James, who is next in line as acting lieutenant governor, refused to sign the order. The executive order here in the territory guarantees that same-sex couples receive the same benefits as traditionally married couples when it comes to health insurance, filing taxes, and designating beneficiaries. Governor Mapp was scheduled to be out of the territory for 3 weeks starting from July 14th, but he returned unexpectedly last Wednesday. Lieutenant Governor Potter is scheduled to return today from the Toronto Games, but we were unsuccessful in reaching his chief of staff to confirm that he is back in the territory. Government House spokeswoman Kim Jones told us he is expected to sign the order, though, once he returns. Erica Parsons, News 2.
Lieutenant Governor Potter's chief of staff did respond to News 2's inquiry, saying that Mr. Potter is scheduled to return this evening, so the executive order has not yet been signed. We'll provide you those details once it's confirmed. Two St. Croix senators are questioning a decision to close all fire stations temporarily to hold an all-employee meeting Monday at the Cardiac Center. Senators Novelle Francis and Kenneth Gittens called the decision by Fire Director nominee Eugene Farrell to leave the stations unmanned irresponsible. Francis said it's inconsiderate of the community's needs given the current drought, and Gittens agreed.
I am not surprised by this action, but it was quite troubling and disheartening to learn of such poor management decision. It was rather obvious that the leadership of the department had very little to no consideration for the protection of life and property in our community as the decision was made to temporarily close all fire stations on St. Croix, whereby removing emergency resources from the strategic locations.
Street names on St. Thomas could soon undergo a major change and become more efficient. The street addressing initiative aims to do just that, but a lack of boots on the ground is hindering its progress. A group of residents is now stepping up to make that happen, at least in one community. News 2's April Knight has that story.
Brothers Tig and Tyler Arvidsson moved to St. Thomas 7 months ago to start a chiropractic business, but until now, they still don't know their address.
Well, my current address is some numbers and some letters and a word, and I'm not sure what that means because I can't find it on a map anywhere, so I really don't know where I live. To explain it to somebody, it's not easy.
We're used to using our GPS coordinates, not necessarily here, that doesn't necessarily work, and you maybe find yourself down a back alley or on the other side of the island.
The Arvidssons just ran into the problem experienced by locals for many years. A confusing street addressing system that can actually be dangerous.
It's not in sequence and it poses a lot of problems getting to the house. Right now we're using landmarks like the old crusher. We have 911 vehicles that don't know where some of these places is. It could be a matter of life and death.
Now a group of Smith Bay residents are banding together to help St. Thomas get into a GPS-compatible address system to make it easier for first responders.
The Lieutenant Governor's office actually began the street addressing initiative that would make it possible for, say, 911 to send GPS coordinates to first responders. On St. Croix, they're getting it in gear in the field, but on St. Thomas, they need a little help.
What they're lacking is the manpower and the people actually getting out on the street. So we have organized a number of different organizations.
The Smith Bay area is first up on the list. And on Tuesday, the group hopes to gather as many residents as they can to provide input on the project, including what they'd like to name their streets. Reporting for News 2, I'm April Knight.
And that meeting will be held on the Street Addressing Initiative on Tuesday afternoon, 6:30 p.m. at the Sunray Lounge of the Smith Bay Complex. Have you ever gotten a phone call from someone saying they're from Microsoft, but you suspect they're really not? Well, Microsoft officials say there is reason to be suspicious of those callers because you could become the target of cyber criminals. News 2's Erica Parsons has more.
Cyber criminals aren't just using the computer to get to your most sensitive information. They can use the telephone too. And recently, local residents told the Daily News they've been victims of people calling and pretending to be technical support. An alert from Microsoft warns that cyber criminals don't just send fake emails or set up bogus websites, but instead, they're pretending to be from Microsoft. Those cyber criminals usually get your name and password from a public directory. Then they'll call you and ask for your username and password or send you to a legitimate website to install software that will give them access to your computer. And once they're in, they could get sensitive information like banking usernames and passwords or remotely control your computer to make it vulnerable to attacks. With your credit card information, they could easily bill you for phony services. The biggest thing that Microsoft warns against is unsolicited phone calls. They will never call you or charge you to fix your computer, as some of these scammers have requested. If you do get a call from someone claiming to be from Microsoft, don't buy any software or services. Ask if there's a fee for the service they're selling, and if they say yes, hang up. Never give control of your computer to a third party unless you can confirm they're a legitimate rep from a company you're already a customer of, such as Innovative. Never provide your credit card information to someone claiming to be from Microsoft Tech Support, and take the caller's name and information and immediately report it to local authorities. If you've already given the tech support phony your information, change your computer's password, including email passwords and banking and credit card passwords. You should also scan your computer with the Microsoft Safety Scanner to see if you have any malware installed, and install Microsoft Security Essentials. Erica Parsons, News 2.
Now, Microsoft says they will not charge for the Microsoft Security Essentials. It's a free program, so if someone calls you to install it and tries to charge you, that is also a scam. Detectives continue to investigate as they await autopsy results after the death of a 2-month-old infant. On Saturday, July 25th, at approximately 6:34 a.m., the 911 emergency call center received notification of a child listed as being dead on arrival at the Kennedy housing community. Officers, detectives, and EMTs responded to the scene. They examined the infant and discovered no signs of life. According to preliminary reports, the mother of the infant discovered that the child was not breathing and phoned 911. No foul play had been discovered, but no further information was available because police say due to the distraught condition of family members. Count on 2 to keep you updated. Police are investigating a stabbing, they say, on Saturday, July 25th at roughly 2:09 a.m. The 911 emergency call center received a report from the Louis Hospital of a male individual who was picked up at the Corner Pocket nightclub with a stab wound to his stomach and dropped off at the hospital's emergency room for treatment. The preliminary information gathered on the incident is vague, as the 42-year-old male victim refused to cooperate with the officers as to what led up to his having been stabbed and by whom. On Friday, July 24th at 7:45 p.m., police say Lawrence Greenidge, 36, of Estate Harvey, was arrested on a warrant issued by the Superior Court. Greenidge was arrested on the charges of first-degree robbery, third-degree assault, carrying or using a dangerous weapon during the commission of a crime of violence, grand larceny, brandishing, exhibiting, or using a deadly weapon, and disturbance of the peace in connection with the robbery of the In-N-Out service station that occurred on Monday, January 5th, 2015. Bail was set at $75,000. Turning our attention overseas, the Waller County, Texas District Attorney's Office announced Monday that a review committee has been formed to oversee the investigation into the death of 28-year-old driver Sandra Bland. Bland's family is questioning the findings of the Harris County, Texas medical examiners, which stated Bland hanged herself with a plastic bag after being arrested and jailed following a heated July 10th traffic stop. Meanwhile, in other news, Bobby Christina Brown, the only child of the late Whitney Houston and Bobby Brown, has passed away. The 22-year-old died after months in the hospital. She was found unresponsive in a bathtub in her Atlanta home on January 31st and has since been put in a medically induced coma. Keeping our eye on the economy, here's the New York Stock Exchange with our stock market watch. As we can see, everything's down. The Dow down 127, NASDAQ 48, S&P 500 also down 12. Coming up on News 2, backed by popular demand, we bring you our summer fun segment for those of us who can't get away for a vacation. Some options for that staycation. Plus, seismic activity recently increased at the Kickam underwater volcano. What is the updated alert level, and can we experience some effects if it does erupt? Details. A Caribbean underwater volcano named Kickam has been restless for several days now. NOAA, as well as various Caribbean governments, are keeping a close eye on the volcano, which last erupted in 2001. It has not reached the point of eruption, but fluctuating alert levels are causing concern. Should the Virgin Islands be concerned as well? NEWS2's April Knight has details.
Kickam, the underwater volcano just north of Grenada, is back down to yellow alert after being upgraded to orange alert on Friday.
The yellow alert, it prevents vessels from going within 1.5 kilometers of the volcano. Previous alert, orange, the circle was 5 kilometers. It can occur, an eruption.
VI geologist Roy Watlington visited the volcano on a research trip 3 times. He says the immediate danger is to ships in the area and objects potentially getting ejected from the volcano.
It gives off lots and lots of gas bubbles. It lessens the density of the seawater, and so a ship that's coming through could sink.
Over the past week, NOAA and emergency management agencies have been sending out alerts of Jenny getting restless. Watlington says it's unlikely that Jenny would generate a tsunami because it's not sitting on a subduction zone, that active boundary where tectonic plates converge.
This volcano can do that, but it's under 180, 185 meters of water. Generally doesn't emanate energy very far.
And if a tsunami is generated, he said it will take more than an hour to reach the Virgin Islands, giving residents a little time to prepare.
It would take 80 minutes for it to first reach St. Croix, and maybe 90 minutes to first hit, well, I guess the next thing would be coming from the southeast would be St. John, and then St. Thomas.
Nonetheless, Vitima cautions against complacency, urging residents to be prepared for any emergency situation. For News 2, I'm April Knight.
To sign up for Vitima Alert, you can go to vialert.gov or visit the Vitima website at vitima.gov. Senator-at-Large Armando Rocky Liebert remains committed to bringing more Virgin Islanders into the marine industry. He says this summer his office focused on placing students in entry-level jobs in the marine industry. He said it is critical that we provide opportunities and training for the kind of work that is actually in demand here in the territory. 3 St. Croix students, Akil Emmanuel, Daryl Donahue Jr., and Kian Kelly, and 1 St. Thomas student, Gitano Creaky, took on the challenge of working hard at jobs in fields they say they knew almost nothing about before they started. Well, time for our summer fun segment. We start off our first segment with Nature's Little Secret, the BVI, just miles away from the USVI. Travel by ferry to the British Virgin Islands if you can't get away, the proclaimed sailing capital of the Caribbean. There you can enjoy sun, sand, sea. You can go island hopping to Tortola, Anegada, Jos Van Dyke, Virgin Gorda, or one of the many keys of the BVI. Anegada, the only island made of coral in the BVI, tour the renowned baths of Virgin Gorda, or swimming with the dolphins in Tortola. Also, you're just in time for the BVI's 61st August Festival activities. The Patsy Lake Festival opens tonight. August Monday Parade is August 3rd. Events end on August 9th. Count on 2 to keep you updated. Well, about 50 seniors stepped out Saturday on St. Croix to drink tea and mingle with one another. It was all part of the Young 70s Tea Party, hosted by Small Business Camp and Innovative. Young senior citizens could be seen cutting a rug with their best dance moves and family members by their side. The elders dined on tea, appetizers, and pastries. They played bingo and other games and also got some tips and advice on healthcare and other life issues. Several vendors were also present. A similar event to appreciate seniors was held on St. Thomas on Sunday. Be sure to stick around. Your News 2 AccuWeather forecast comes your way next.